Wow, that was one hell of a wild ride. Hey there horror fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving headfirst into Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And yes, that possessive title means business. This is no light-hearted adventure with Brendan Fraser cracking whips and one-liners. This is proper modern horror from the director of Evil Dead Rise, dragging the classic mummy legend kicking and screaming into the 21st century. I will try and keep it as spoiler light at first, and then we'll dig deeper as the video goes on. Smash that like button if you're ready for some sand in your boots and chills down your spine. Imagine this: dusty streets, journalist dad Charlie, his pregnant nurse wife and their children. Life is moving along until their young daughter Katie is kidnapped. Completely disappears, never to be seen for years to come. Actually, 8 years to be precise, because 8 years pass and then comes the phone call that Katie has been found alive in Egypt. She was discovered inside an ancient tomb thing that somehow ended up on a plane, and then the plane crashed, and then it was found, in the plane crash site. Now what should have been a miracle reunion quickly turns nightmarish. Teenager Katie arrives home looking wrong. She's malnourished, she's grey, there's like strange marks all over her, there's like these weird bandages and weird writing and long dirty nails, and she's just barely speaking. She's sort of like catatonic at times, and then she's got like these silent outbursts. The doctors, alright, listen to this, they basically shrug it all off and say, take Katie home. Home and love is the best medicine. No proper medical hold, no psych evaluation, just straight back to the family house. Now, at first, the parents are overjoyed, but also in denial. But strange things start happening, and Katie's behaviour grows more and more disturbing. There's like these jaw clicks, and then there's the crawling around on the ceilings, and peeling the skin, and projectile vomiting, and much worse things as well. So yeah, it's not really the best sort of homecoming. Basically, an ancient Egyptian demon called, I think it's the Nazarian, I probably completely annihilated that word, but basically it's a destroyer of families, and it has been transferred into Katie because she's a living vessel, and this is what the demon needs, and it spreads through the household like a curse. Honestly, things get pretty insane, very disgusting. If you're after a film that has plenty of body horror, then you have found it. I have real mixed feelings about this film because the movie starts off brilliantly. I mean, the lead up to Katie's kidnapping and then her being found, was actually, a good start to the film. But for me, it did kind of drag, a little bit then, from say around about the 20-minute mark to about the 1 hour mark. It just dragged. It was just like things that we've seen many, many times. Then, the second half of this film just goes absolutely insane, and there are some pretty brutal, disgusting moments that will test your boundaries as a viewer. I think even die-hard horror fans will be disturbed in certain moments and certain scenes of this film. I mean, Cronin clearly got the green light to go absolutely nasty, and boy, did he deliver on that. We are talking like cracking skin, withering under the bandages, rivers of projectile stuff that you will see when you see the film. Also, the sound design is ferocious. I mean, every wet squelch and like ancient whisper and bone crack will make you wince. When the movie gets to really ramp it up from that halfway mark, it goes full throttle. There is actually a oh god, there is a scene in this movie that was just absolutely crazy. It was seriously gross, and I'm not going to spoil it for you on here, but it happens during a funeral wake scene. Now, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. it's one of those scenes. I feel it's really going to be talked about for years to come. It just really sort of like catches you off guard, and you just cannot believe what you are seeing. I mean, apparently this funeral wake scene had people being sick in cinemas all over the world, and for once I can actually believe it. There is also like this scene in the movie which happens really far into the film, like really late into it, and basically the parents of Katie, they end up watching this videotape of what happened to her just after she was kidnapped. The things that happened to Katie and the things that we see on the videotape almost made me not want to continue watching this movie. I found that whole intense scene a little bit too much. The boundaries were definitely tested during this scene, and I think the reason why I struggled with it is because, you know, of how amazing the acting is from both the parents when they're watching this videotape. I mean, the horror in their faces is so believable, and then the screams that are coming from Katie on the videotape was just absolutely not very nice to watch. And I think for me, because I've got nieces and nephews and some of them are around the same age as young version of Katie in this film, it tested me. So yeah, your boundaries as a horror fan, maybe you're a parent, you've got children, he's really going to be tested in this film. And apparently a lot of people walked out of the theatre and the cinema all around the world when this scene was being played, so that on its own should speak volumes. For me, this film didn't really enthrall me for the whole duration. I mean, as I said earlier, it had a solid opening, and then it takes a bit of a dip for about 45 minutes before we go into the real insane territory. And if it wasn't for the insane territory moment, then this would have been a very shit film. And the moment where the film took a dip for me, there was just a lot of stupidity. I mean, Katie, she's clearly not the same girl that she once was, but at the same time, you know, she needs to be in the hospital having full-time care. I mean, she's violent, she vomits, she makes horrible noises, and I think it's pretty obvious that in some shape or form, this girl is not right. She is possessed. It's obvious. I'll give you an example. The very first 5 minutes of Katie coming home and seeing her grandmother for the very first time, Katie ends up headbutting her grandmother. I mean, like, what the hell? This is not normal. Imagine if Katie had done that to one of her siblings. I mean, she had a younger sister when she returns 8 years later. What if she did it to her? It was just all a little bit far-fetched for me and unrealistic. And she was being left alone a lot of the time with, like, the grandmother. I mean, I was like, what? And also, you know, there are scares that they throw in until we get to the insane bits. But it was just a lot of repetitive scares. And, you know, it's stuff that we've seen before. And then it's kind of like it gets to a point where I was wondering, what am I watching? Am I watching The Mummy, or The Evil Dead, or The Exorcist? Because honestly, this is a bit of a mishmash of all three movies. Now, because of that initial dip of the 45 minutes, for me, I struggled to fully enjoy the insane second half of the film. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was entertained, I was shocked, I was disturbed, and not always in a good way, but I just didn't have a brilliant time, you know, in terms of, you know, the film. I just did not have a brilliant time. In terms of brutality, cinematography, the practical effects, the gore, it is a 10 out of 10. But a lot of the things that happen were just there for shock value. Is it scary? Yes, in certain parts. Is it gross? 100%. But something was just missing in terms of the pacing and the storytelling. Saying that, I definitely think every horror fan should go and watch this movie, because you will have one hell of a ride watching it. But just be prepared for those pacing issues, and then you'll probably just be okay. I mean, maybe take a sick bag with you. I mean, I'm probably not personally going to go back and rewatch this movie anytime soon. It was kind of a bit of a one-time watch for me. I kind of feel that once you've seen the shocks and the scares and how far those boundaries were tested, there's kind of no need to go back to it. I think the only thing I would probably rewatch if it ends up, say, on YouTube, is that particular scene of the funeral and the wake. So after all of my thoughts on this movie, I'm gonna give Lee Cronin's The Mummy a score of 6.8 out of 10. It is a lavishly gory, committed horror ride that is worth the cinema ticket for the, you know, for the big screen squelches and the strong performances. Now, in my opinion, it is not a horror classic. It could have been, but something was just off for me with this film. But it is a very solid, nasty addition to the horror world. If you're in the mood for dark, bloody, family-destroying horror, then you're gonna love this. I mean, yeah, just, you know, grab your popcorn, take a sick bag, and enjoy. Okay, well, there you have it, my absolute horror legends, my full, no-holds-barred take on Lee Cronin's The Mummy, a bold bandage swing that delivers visceral thrills but gets a bit tangled in its own wrappings. Have you seen this movie? If you have, then let me know in the comments box below if you enjoyed it or not, and tell me, what are your thoughts on that funeral wake scene? If you enjoyed this lengthy deep dive into The Mummy, then smash that like button, subscribe, and share with your horror loving buddies. Alright then guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.